appreciate you coming out and doing this video for us. We've had a lot of guys come on our show. Just talked about hunting over the weekend and things, and I just thought out of safety precautions and someone of your background, obviously, to come on and do a safety video about firearms in general would be a great idea. And I appreciate Jared Tactical for linking you and I up and doing a little research on you. I found out your background's pretty remarkable. I'm gonna run through that right now. You're a certified FBI and NRA police and firearms instructor. You're also a professional shooter who does, group and individual classes, and you're also a sponsored shooter as well. And is, I believe, a 6-time national champion?
No, just not a national champion, but several top 5 finishes.
Okay, I got you. So, in other words, you're not just my next door neighbor. Well, now let me throw this at you. I want to start out with this. Give us a little bit of background, and you and I talked about this before. A little bit of background that kind of got you into this career.
Of course, I guess like everybody that grew up in this part of the country right here, I grew up probably shooting with my dad. A lot of times he was the one that took us out into the woods. A lot of the places actually directly behind where we're sitting right now, it was very unpopulated, a lot of woods at that time. It's been a few years ago, and that's probably my introduction into it right there. That's how I learned to shoot. That's where I learned my basic firearms rules and safety and things like that. Was going out in the woods and plinking with him, and he was really good, and we loved the woods. We played in the woods, rode dirt bikes, all that. So it was just sort of a natural progression.
Absolutely. So you'd say he definitely one of your biggest inspirations.
Oh, definitely.
To get you
definitely.
How long would you say you've been handling firearms total, counting?
Oh wow, that's gonna make me sound old. Probably. He probably had me out in the woods. I had an older brother, so I got introduced probably a little younger than anybody else, but I was probably 7 years old, 8 years old, tagging along with my big brother.
Absolutely.
When we were doing that, and he actually started letting me shoot a little bit, probably like a .22 rifle or something like that at that time. So,
you're a living, breathing poster child where if it's done the right way, which is what this video is about, then that's what we want.
Absolutely.
Bring awareness. And you and I talked about this before. For those who are just, like you said, 5 million people have recently purchased new guns in America, correct? Mm-hmm. For those people and people who's listening to this who's not real familiar with firearms, kind of give us a blanket or a basic rule step to what you teach in your classes for each individual who's handling firearms in general.
Oh, absolutely. And these rules are not only for beginners, but everybody adheres to these rules right here. The ones that we teach were the ones that were codified by Colonel Cooper. There are 4 rules of gun safety. And those rules basically say that rule number 1 is that the gun is always loaded. So as such, we treat every gun as if it were loaded. So because of that, we go to rule number 2, which says we never let the muzzle cover anything that we're not willing to shoot or destroy, and that being the end of the gun. So we're careful what we point the gun at. Rule number 3 is what we call the golden rule. It's so important that we call it the golden rule, and that is that we keep our trigger finger away from the trigger until we're sights on target and we're ready to shoot. And then rule number 4 is that we identify our target. We know what our target is, and we also know what is behind it. And the beauty of these rules right here is that if you adhere to these rules, you will never have an accident that hurts somebody, and you actually have to break multiple rules to have an accident that hurts somebody. So even if you accidentally slip or fall or point a gun somewhere where it's not intended, if your finger's off the trigger, the gun's not going to go off. And our guns are manufactured so well and so good these days that contrary to popular belief, guns just don't go off. If the gun is in proper working condition as a good gun, then you're not going to have that problem. So if you adhere to those rules of gun safety, you and others around you will be safe with them.
And then the final rule you talked about is know what's behind you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the premise behind all this right here is that we teach that the firearm is a tool. It's simply a tool, and we often compare it to a chainsaw. It can be used for good or it can be used for evil. And of course, there's a lot of benefit that can be achieved with a chainsaw. You know, when you need a chainsaw, nothing else will work. But it's a tool, and you have to be responsible, and you have to know how to use it, or you could get hurt with it. And but it's very useful when used properly. Same thing with the firearm. It's very useful when used properly.
Absolutely. The one thing I noticed that you just talked about that really jumped out at me was, in order for an accident to happen, there usually has to be a minimum of about 2 of those rules broken.
Absolutely.
And so that going forward, for people who's watching this video, if you are handling all 4 of these rules, you literally should never expect an accident to happen.
Exactly.
Exactly.
If you adhere to those rules right there, you will never have an accident that hurts somebody. And actually, if you adhere to those 4 safety rules all the time, you will never have an accident.
That's perfect. And you know, we live in a society where a lot of people are pro-gun and some people are anti-gun, but you know, they're definitely going to serve their purpose. And by the Constitution, we have a right to own them. So to me, it's good to bring awareness, people such as yourself, who's professionally done it the right way over all these years, who's went out and literally probably saved some lives, you know, over the years. To have you come on our channel and talk about this, man, is an absolute pleasure and an honor. I really appreciate you doing that for us.
Well, thank you, Bo. It's my pleasure, and hopefully this will make a difference and with somebody somewhere and help keep everybody safe.
And now you were sponsored by Nighthawk Customs. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I know people are probably going to watch this video and be intrigued by what is Nighthawk Customs?
Absolutely. Nighthawk Customs is a custom manufacturer of firearms. We specialize in 1911 type platforms, guns, and they are a custom gun company. So it's one gun, one gunsmith, and they make a variety of different guns that are there, but mostly in the 1911 platform. I've been really blessed to be associated with them, and I've been shooting for that company probably, I think, since 2005, 2006. And Mark Stone's the owner of the company. It's truly a blessing to be associated with them. They're a fine group of individuals. You can look at them at nighthawkcustom.com. They are a high-end. They're sort of the Rolex of the firearms industry, and they make excellent products. I'm very proud to sponsor them.
Now, them being a Rolex of the firearm companies, surely you've been sponsored by them. They hook you up some good deals or some merchandise.
Absolutely, they are better to me than I deserve. And,
well, man, unfortunately, we've had accidents even here locally, and hopefully this video will get out to. And I mean, when I tell you, a lot of our student athletes have came on and talk about hunting trips over the weekend, we're talking multiple weekly. And when you have a tendency for a younger generation to be handling guns and going hunting, I think this is nothing but positive. And for you to come on and do this, and actually Nighthawk to sponsor you, and Jared's Tactical to jump on board, I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of information that's out there through the online, through the NRA firearm safety programs. That would be nationally, things that were done online. There's things like that. I run a little company called the Alabama Defensive Pistol Academy, where I teach some firearms classes, anything from beginner to intermediate to advanced, in a variety of formats. And so there's a lot of professional information that is out there that is available, and I would encourage everybody to take advantage of some form of some training.
If someone was wanting to get in touch with you personally to take one of your classes, how would they do that?
The easiest way probably is to just look me up on Facebook under the Alabama Defensive Pistol Academy.
Okay.
Or call or text. I actually have my phone number on there. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you being open to coming out and actually talking to us about this today. It's been an honor, and people who are looking to you may have been handling guns for 20 or 30 years yourself, but you're never too old to learn, and I think that's the message we got here, especially when you're handling something like firearms. It's always, the more you know, the better, in my opinion. And this gentleman right here is the guy who can definitely help us with that. And again, I thank you so much, Matt, and We're looking forward to working with you in the future, if that's okay with you, sir.
Absolutely. It's been a privilege, Bo.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.